Alright, it is time to do our final campaign overview with Repanse de Lyonesse. If you're just tuning in here, the way I do these videos is I do a quick 10 to 15 minute video going over the campaign of the newest DLC and FLC lords added with each DLC. The goal of these campaigns is, these videos is not to give you strategies on how to play them, but mainly to kind of give you an idea for how the campaign plays. We usually kind of summarize these videos with like a you'll like this campaign if you like X, Y, and Z. But if you've watched the previous videos, then you know what to expect. So let's talk about that FLC lord, the Lady of Bretonnian herself, Repanse de Lyonesse. Now, I really enjoy this character. I think of the three lords and ladies being added, she's my favorite. And I love Malice Darkblade. Malice Darkblade is one of my absolute favorite characters in the lore. But I think that as far as from a narrative standpoint, and as far as like a richness standpoint from a campaign point of view, there's so much fun to be had with Repanse. And it's kind of in the same vein as Gorok from the previous DLC with the Hunter and the Beast. Repanse can get quite disgusting quite fast. So let's kind of take a look at her overall starting location. She's over here in Coffer. And some people were asking me about this in my previous videos. You see these names over here. If you zoom out to this level of the map, click this, character names. It just makes navigating around the map and seeing where things are a lot easier as your empire grows. In the beginning portions of the game, not as big, but still. So what is so different? What is so new with Repanse? Well, for one, her skill set is amazing. We're going to go through that in just a little bit. And she's got two mechanics that kind of cater to her. For one, she's got this, let me see here. Yeah, how to play. She has her Desert Thirst mechanic. So basically, we can't see it above her head right now. If I end this turn, we will. You'll see this little water icon. And basically what it means is for 4 or 5 turns, she will not take any desert attrition at all, as long as she gets to a settlement within those 5 turns. At the end of those 5 turns, if she gets to a settlement, she replenishes her water reserve, and she can move from location to location with relative ease. Now, normally, if this was not included, you would deal with massive amounts of attrition. Now, when you think about it, when you think about all the factions that start over here in these desert areas, they're undead for the most part, or they're Skaven, and they already kind of have a little thing about that. So this is one of the first human factions. I mean, Sudenburg is just down here. We've got, what are these guys called again? Greybreed's Prospectors, that's right. Over here, so we don't play those factions. We don't really get a chance to see what they're like. But Repanse has that thing to kind of combat that. Now, she is a questing knight, and as thus, she has a heavy emphasis on questing knights. We'll go into that in just a little bit. Also, you get her legendary hero, Henri le Massif, and Le Massif will have a really cool skill set here. So for one, he is, for the most part, just a paladin. But take a look at his beefy stat line. I haven't looked at a stat line of a paladin in campaign in a long time, so this might be comparable, and I'm just up my own ass right now. But the anti-large on him is quite nice. I know that's not stock. But of course, he can go all the way up to a hippogriff on his mount, not a Pegasus, which is pretty awesome. In addition, he gets this chainmail ability, armor and melee defense, monster slayer, which gives an ode to his lore, is that he is a monster slayer in the White Dwarf that released on him. Bonus versus large plus 10. That, I think it's a total of 30 now with that. Take a look here. Yeah, a total of 30 bonus versus large with an additional 10% weapon strength bump. And Bannerman. Weapon strength plus 8% for mounted yeomen, knights errant, knights of the realm, questing knights, grail knights, and grail guardians, as well as a adjoining charge bonus for them as well. So a very nice skill set for this guy. And he already starts with there can be only one. 10 chivalry, 10 charge bonus, and 10 melee attack. You can see by taking a look at his stats, really the weakest stat he's got is melee defense, but chainmail in and of itself will shore some of that up to about 51, bringing it in line with his melee attack and making him quite stocky. Now, looking at his vows as well, he does start as a base paladin, no knightly or questing vows unlocked at all, so you do kind of have to build him from scratch, but I still think that's quite fun. It makes it so you can have Henri le Massif exactly how you want. I mean, this is not about strategy, but turn 1, I sent him over here to discover Lothern for me, so you can do a lot of really cool stuff with him. Now, the nice thing too about Repanse's campaign is really how this kind of shakes out. So for one, let's take a look at this little card here. We always do this, right? So she's got Damsel of War, +3 control for all provinces, -50% upkeep for all heroes. Of course, that's going to include your damsels, your paladins. Melee defense +8 for questing knights, and a massive public relations hit for Vampire Counts, Vampire Coast, and Tomb Kings. And you're going to find out why in just a little bit. Now, taking a look at her general direction, though, she is surrounded by, of course, these are the these Knights of Regia, or these Knights of the Flame? Knights of the Flame and Knights of Regia right over here. So you have a lot of natural allies all around you. Greybeard's Prospectors, which is quite nice as well. So basically, you're going to be choosing which direction to go. The campaign kind of says, hey, go take this over. Go destroy this faction. But once you do that, and again, this is not strategy, but I'm just trying to kind of give you guys an idea of how much of a landslide this campaign kind of is, again, in the same way as Gore Rocks. As soon as you take Al-Haik, Phyrus will say, hey, confederate with us. Boom, done. As soon as you kill or take the Wizard Caliph's Palace, Knights of the Flame say, hey, confederate with us. So you get control of this whole thing by turn 15, turn 20, depending on how you play. And honestly, the campaign from there is just really about like managing your resources. And again, we've talked about this a lot. It's like knife's edge, knife's edge. How do you manage your water reserves to get from location to location on your grand crusade through all of the Southlands? Your targets are Vampire Coast, Vampire Counts, Undead in the Tomb Kings, and Skaven. And there's some peppering of greenskins in there, but for the most part, you know, you've got Skaven here, you've got Tomb Kings here, you've got more Skaven down here and down over here with Clan Mulder down here, or is it Mordkin? One of the others down the way over here. So really, for the most part, you can go from northern tip to southern tip of the Southlands with innate bonuses from Repanse's special abilities with relative ease. But at the same time, again, the game wants you to raise. It really feels like it's gearing you towards raising all these locations, because as we take a look at, I believe it's her objectives. It's attain 2,000 chivalry, and maintain control of 50 provinces. That's, of course, for the domination victory. But this says complete the final errantry war battle. You do have special errantry wars that will get kicked off. I think one of these tells you, no, there is a building, and I can't remember what it is, unfortunately. You can see it on the Vortex campaign. If you press victory conditions, one of these tabs will say errantry war, and say, hey, there's no errantry wars going yet. So errantry wars do have objectives. They're kind of like very specific quest battles for Repanse. Of course, that's a Bretonnian thing, but they're very specific to her. And they're going to be different, obviously, because you're not going to be fighting against Chaos and Norska. Different campaign as a whole. So as those errantry battles kind of kick off, and you have those new fresh targets across the Southlands, you're going to be pushing all over the place. And really, let's take a look at those skill sets, because you're going to see how much fun it is going to be. So taking a look over here, we see that she is the champion of the people. She gets her +10 chivalry, but physical resistance 5% for all peasant units. Keep in mind, foot squires are a peasant unit, so they get 5% physical resistance. This is quite nice because they are your best infantry choice that you have access to. In addition, leadership +5 for all peasant units as well, and ability Halo of Maidenly Wrath. And if you haven't seen this, here it is right here. And it does actually quite a bit of damage, especially to undead, because it does magical damage. And of course, it won't affect your friendly troops. So if you're surrounded by a ton of undead, which you will a lot of the time with Repanse, you can just blow up and do a ton of damage to them. Now, in addition, she gets a nice weapon strength of 10%, leadership aura plus 25%, all these great little caveats. Now, let's take a look at her vows first. Let's go to her skills. No, I'm saving that for very last. She starts with the Knight's Vow, which is great, right? That gives her that leadership, that gives her that untainted, and the upkeep reduction for Knights Errant, which you're going to have a plenty of. Also, you get the Questing Vow, which can give you that weapon strength that we just talked about, and that campaign movement range of 10%. So that's going to stack with your Route Marcher to 5%. Now, she does have to jump into the Grail Vow, but at least the upkeep for this won't really kick in yet. And you can get to this quite fast. Like, Pledge to Destroy, or there it is, kill 5 enemy lords in battle. Done. Easy. I mean, you're gonna burn through that one so quick. And you'll have that Grail Vow real quick like. So, when we take a look at her skills, you can see there's a lot of fun stuff. For starters, I did not know that the name of her horse was Suleiman. There's nothing that I read about that says that it's Suleiman. Now she does get her Sword of Lyonesse, which is going to give her the magic resistance and enemy Winds of Magic starting amount -10. This is a direct nod to the actual tabletop's version of the Sword of Lyonesse. If we were to just look at this from the multiplayer standpoint, which we did take a look at, we just saw her 40 melee attack and her 50% AP and weapon damage bonus. With this in the campaign, we get that -15% to magic resistance for local enemies and a -10 to the Winds of Magic starting amount for local region. It's quite nice. It pays that homage again to the tabletop version of the sword, which is very geared towards anti-magic. Now she has her own quest, or her own specific skill line, which is disgusting. Look at this. Armor piercing damage +3 for infantry units, casualty replenishment +5, and melee attack +5 for infantry. And that unlocks at rank 4. So you're going to get that by turn 10, maybe at that rate, like turn 8, hopefully. Then she gets this one. This one is huge. Banish the Scourge. +8 melee attack when fighting Vampire Counts, Coast, and Tomb Kings. Enables flaming attacks and immune to psychology. So all the things that make all the undead factions scary, you know, fear and terror, well, that's neutralized. You now do flaming attacks across your entire army, so now they're susceptible to it, and you're more likely to hit them because that melee attack is now through the roof. Well, by comparison, I suppose. What, 8 plus 5 right there? There's your 13 right there. Open and shut case, Johnson. We're going to go kill ourselves some boners all over the place. Now we also get Courageous, which gives you personally the melee attack and the ward save. Rebuild the Ruins, which, look at this, -50% construction time and +2 to local recruitment capacity, and a -25% for the construction cost of all those buildings. So you can really see there is a value train built into Repanse pretty hard and heavy. Then you have Honorable and Pure, a further increase to her leadership aura size by now a total of 50% between this and her innate 25 from the vows. And not to mention Virtue of Empathy, which is going to give it a total of 75% increase. But still, character's aura leadership effect +5 and Untainted +5 as well. So you can really see that she is all about rapid, fast expansion and also raising. Raising those all those many territories is going to help you get to that 2,000 chivalry mark so you can hit your victory condition. Lastly, we have a bonus here, is that the entire army gets Frenzy. And you can get this as early as rank 6, available after spending 2 skill points in the previous group. You get Banish the Scourge, you get Rebuild the Ruins, then you get Eternal Errantry War, which is exactly what I did for my campaign, and voila! You have a frenzied army that is immune to psychology, has base, like what, +15 melee attack, and they all have flaming attacks. It's disgusting. You're going to just tear through all the Tomb Kings. It won't matter what they can field. Now, in addition to that, she does have some other little abilities. We did look at Virtue of Empathy. Basic training gives you that vigor loss reduction -15%. Lady's Mantle, and then the Fleur-de-Lis banner. This is a +9 melee defense and a +9 melee attack. As we just kind of go through here, though, everything else for the most part is, I think, pretty normal from what I can remember. Yes, I believe so. But again, there is one other little thing I want to touch on here, and that is, in the lore, she was the Bannerman, right? She was a BSB, Battle Standard Bearer. And with that, she was all about banners. And you can probably see in the right hand where I'm about to get into. But she has, right out the gate, 3 banner quests. Establish a trade agreement with the following faction, Greybeard's Prospectors. That gives you this really cool Jean-Claude Van Damme starter banner, which gives 25% missile damage and immune to psychology to a peasant bowman unit. Great right out the gate. Rene Descartes, his banner, which is going to give you, and this is simply win 3 battles against Tomb Kings, which is very, very easy. 12 melee defense and expert charge defense for a melee infantry unit. You can give this to these starting foot squires and they become so tanky. Pierre de Ardennes and his banner, which does 12 charge bonus and perfect vigor for a knight's unit, which is going to go very well alongside these questing knights or these knights of the realm. So you can really see that this is a lot of fun, that this is a really, really, really cool campaign, and it's very thematic, right? It's very narrative driven. The narrative is you're on an errantry war and you are bringing the hot, wet fire of Bretonnia into the Southlands. And you can see how easily you can do that. By turn 10, you should have confederated all the Land of Assassins and the coast of Araby. You do get a very special building over here, which I unfortunately can't highlight. It is a strategic location, and it's excuse me, sorry, my allergies. I'm allergic to cats and I live with two. But Pyrus has a specific building here where it's like the Grand Chapel of Pyrus. You'll be able to see it in the Let's Play that I'm doing in the campaign video that of course will have started yesterday, but you can see me stream it tomorrow on Sunday. I'll be starting around 10, 11 a.m. in the Pacific Standard Time. Now, Pyrus does have that strategic building, which is just disgusting. It gives you all these bonuses for damsels and praying and removing negative faction effects. So there are so many tools at your disposal because you don't have any natural allies here. I mean, obviously you've got these two to your left and right, but outside of that, it's pretty much you alone against the hordes of undead to deal with, and it's quite fun. There is this unique building. I figure it's worth showing. A lot of people are very curious on these unique buildings. We have the coffer docks here, which gives you knight errants out the gate, meaning you can again get that huge value train right from the start with Repanse here, and that's a big thing because typically you have to wait to get that the stables, and the stables are quite costly. In this case, you already start with them. You can make knights errant on turn 1, which is huge, and it gives you income and growth. Further though, it goes all the way up here, gives you even more income and more growth as you progress to the harbor in the simple rank 3 building, and it's in a small settlement anyway. So hopefully you guys get a really good idea now of Repanse de Lyonesse's campaign, and you can decide if you want to play it. I personally, this is the first one I'm going to be playing through and going crazy with. I'm really excited about it. I do not know if more banners pop up. I believe that they do as you progress through the game. I personally have not gotten very far in this campaign because I'm waiting to play it with you guys on my streams. So if you do want to see me play this live, I will be playing it tomorrow on Sunday. I've already streamed it on Friday. You can jump on in and have some fun. I typically do giveaways, all that sort of fun action. But if you are on the fence still about buying the Shadow and the Blade, and you do decide to move forward with it, I have a purchase link to Fanatical Games down here in the description. You can go ahead and purchase through that link. There is a 10% commission that does go to me, and that's a great way to help the channel out because you get a Steam key, you redeem it on Steam, it doesn't cost you anything extra. So if you want to support the channel without doing any kind of hoopla, you can do that. You're not going to have to go through a special platform or any of that shit. You're going to get the Steam key and just be able to play it on Steam like normal. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. All of the embargoes have now lifted, so if you have any questions about anything, I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. It doesn't need to be about Repanse de Lyonesse. Whatever you want to ask about, I'm more than happy to answer, guys. Oh, I think before I close this out real quick, I'm going to just pop into the technology tree. I know this is kind of after the fact, after I've just closed the video. I'm sorry, but there is no like, hey, you know, you do this technology and you immediately can confederate with these factions, because you don't deal with that on this map. You do get Bretonnian diplomacy, but it's kind of wasted because you're gonna confederate with all of them by turn 5 or 6 anyway, as long as you just kind of progress through the campaign. You get the Lady's Favor, get all these kind of action. I believe that a lot of these were the same with the most recent patch update. I think the Bretonnian rework that added the vows redid all this, but I'm just kind of going through it real quick. And if are there any of these that you want to know more about, guys, again, just let me know in the comments below. For the most part, I believe this is still standard fare. I haven't booted up a Bretonnian campaign in a long time, but just kind of peeking through these here real quick. You guys can see them. All right, guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. As always, have a good one and take care.